no more rainfall. This week, we have seen the carnage that rain has caused in New York, that is in the United States, and parts of New York were flooding literally, and it was even worse than what we saw in Uganda a few weeks ago around Forest Mall and different parts of the country. So as you leave your home every morning, even when the skies are not showing any sign of rain, just be prepared, have a rain gear with you, maybe an umbrella. For ladies, you can carry a scarf because weather can change any minute. And of course, when it rains, there are things you have to look out for. If you're moving and you see that you cannot, you can't see where you place your feet, maybe you should avoid moving until the rain lets up, because you never know. There could be an open manhole, and before you know it, you have lost your life. You know, like the situation happened with that lady we lost a few years ago around Nakawa traffic lights. But that being said, today is also Thursday, a day where we get to throw back. So what are you throwing back to? I'm excited because Uganda will be turning 61 years next week. And personally, I'm looking back to the time, okay, I wasn't here when we got independence, but I'm still looking back to 30-something years ago when I was a young child, and Uganda didn't have as many cars as we have today. Back then, the people, you would know, you know that family that has a car. So on a village, there would be countable cars, but right now, millions of cars are imported into the country. Many Ugandans have 1, 2, 3 cars. Others are driving their second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth car. Some people change cars all the time. In a few months, you're always seeing a new number plate being released by Uganda Revenue Authority. And personally, I think that as a country, we have really developed from those times to these times, because when you watch independence footage, when you watch videos of Uganda around independence and shortly after, you could actually see that on the streets, let's say Speak Road, you'd find like 2, 3 cars over there. But anyway, let me go back to the team and see if they agree with my sentiment and what I'm throwing back to. Good morning, Jerome Paul.
Well, good morning, Monica. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. You know, you've mentioned something to do with vehicles. Even after independence, I think the trend has just changed most recently around 2010, 2011, whereby a car is not so much regarded as a luxury. But back in the time, during our childhood, if your father or your mother or your uncle had a car, you would automatically have a feel that this particular person has some money.
They are rich.
But now, surprisingly, like you've mentioned, every other month you definitely see enrollment of number plates. Or after 2 months, we have new number plates on board, which shows you it is now an everyday thing for Ugandans to buy their particular cars or vehicles. But it being a Thursday, I will be throwing back to the fact that today is International Teachers' Day, and if I'm to throw back, I will definitely start throwing back to the days of school. Days where we had school teachers, primary, high school. Surprisingly, most of them are still doing the same job, though others have actually upgraded from the schools they were at during our times. For example, if your teacher, or if most of my teachers have actually got time to interact with, the ones who are actually just teaching basic subjects, went back and upgraded. Others are now in administrative roles, either as a director of studies, head teachers. But now throwing it back to school times, on such days like public holidays, these are days when we felt really that were more exciting for us. For example, on a Wednesday like yesterday, and you notice that tomorrow will be Teachers' Day and it's a public holiday, we were all excited simply because we knew we were not going to go to school or we were not going to study anything. So I think even up to now, it brings a lot of excitement for the school-going children when they know that today is a public holiday. And not only that, they do know that if tomorrow, Friday, is a day to go back to school, even Monday they won't be able to study. So these are some of those days that made us really excited while we're back at school. When you know you have public holidays as long as these ones, because today is a public holiday, then after the weekend, even Monday is a public holiday. So that means as a child going to school, you have all that free time not to be doing any kind of,
and the teachers also are
exactly.
getting some reprieve. They don't have to be in class teaching for
Yes.
at least today. Then the bummer though is usually you don't work on Thursday and then you go back on Friday. And,
and
but
then on
still.
Saturday you don't work again. So it's but anyway, you're getting time to relax and relieve of some stress.
And also, it's beautiful that we get to recognize the people that make us who we are. If you ask me, the unsung heroes are teachers, because you and I would not be here if someone didn't decide to be a teacher and train us to be the people that we have become. We might, revere doctors and lawyers and, many other people from different fields, but someone made them that. And it was a teacher. So to the teachers out there, we celebrate you, and today, as the world recognizes your contribution to society, here at Good Morning Uganda, we say thank you for all the things that you've done, for every contribution that you have made to our lives and to the lives of the youngsters that are coming up. That being said, good morning, Lady in Black.
Good morning, Olive. How are you doing this morning?
I am lovely. How are you?
I am very well, and I'm hoping that our dearest viewer is also feeling well this morning. It is a Thursday, and of course, like you said, we are throwing back. And just like Sanko said, since it's Teachers' Day, I'm throwing back to a particular teacher of mine. Unfortunately, this man died. I think it was 2018 or 19. It was a very sad moment for some of us who know. He was called Mr. Thieno Peter. He was a very, very good man. He was actually our head teacher. He was a very, very good man. Believed in us and pushed for us. And, he was a very good example of what a leader would be. Doesn't mind about how big your office is. He concentrated on the cause, and that were leadership in terms of how you, as a person, handle things and how you lead, instead of how big your office is and how much authority you have and how many people you terrorize in school, like it used to be for some of these teachers in the in the high offices. But yes, I'm throwing back to that. I don't want to say too much, I might get emotional, but he was a very good man. May his soul rest in peace. And I'm throwing back to that man today.
Well, teachers, we appreciate you, like I said, and today is your day. Live in the moment and realize, and don't forget that we honor you, we respect you. We are who we are because you exist, because you chose that profession. So we recognize you, and again we say thank you for all the contributions that you've made towards each and every one of our lives as Ugandans and even across the world. But now, looking back at some of the events that have made news this week, turns out, according to Uganda police, that Ugandans lost about 1.6 billion shillings in investments in capital chicken. Now, according to Luke Oesjire, the police, assistant police spokesperson, he said that many people went to the offices at Kanjocha Street for Capital Chicken, and they found the offices closed. So police has launched investigations into this matter, and whatever they find, be sure that we will bring you the details right here on Good Morning Uganda. And yesterday, with my colleagues here, when we were sharing about this story, there was the debate that because Capital Chicken came out on their social media and said that people should disregard reports on social media that they had taken off with people's money, and now we have this from Uganda Police Force. Sonko, you were kind of, okay, not really defending them, but you are going by what they had issued out there on social media. So now there is this turnaround. What's your comeback from that?
Well, their particular statement was a follow-up to what the Capital Markets Authority had released. Because earlier this week, Capital Markets Authority, which is the regulator of such markets in the financial market space, had released a statement that Capital Chicken wasn't operating legally in the country. Now, of which, because they don't even have a license to keep operating in such businesses, it was actually the reason as to why they had to close. Now, to them, they were saying they closed their offices because of that statement from capital markets as they are working towards getting a license. But however, according to details as well, with the progressive story and of course the reports that are progressing, clearly show that it does seem like they may not be looking at reopening again, but rather may have taken the money of these particular Ugandans who have been investing. But again, who knows, maybe we shall be following up on the same situation. But most of the Ugandans who have already invested with the capital chicken are already scared. Most of them have already felt disappointed quite enough, and I think it is another big concern. Though there is also something I noticed as well. Yesterday the New Vision did report that the Uganda Revenue Authority apparently fired 80 of their staff members, the Uganda Revenue Authority. So they sacked 80 of their staff members over corruption.
Wow, that's quite a number.
Before that, I was also trying to get some information on the capital chicken issue. So I need to understand who promises a 60% interest on the initial investment in the shortest time possible.
It was 5 months.
Isn't that too good to be true? And we usually say, if it is too good to be true, believe it, it is too good to be true.
No, you know, when you interact with most of them, they would say, the people who are investing, that you're giving in maybe 2 million Ugandan shillings, you're investing in 2 million Ugandan shillings. They take you to the site where the poultry are.
Yes.
So you've already bought the idea. They've actually showed you where the chicken are. So you're quickly looking at the return to investment, which is ideally viable for you to keep investing.
But still, 60% on the initial investment in 5 months.
I know.
It's unrealistic.
Yeah,
it should be you see how people will be looking out for red flags? It should have been the red flag.
Serious red
Stop looking for red flags
not
in
pink,
relationships
not
alone.
maroon.
Look for red flags in everything, especially in business, especially in something where you're investing your hard earned money.
Quick money.
Exactly.
And also money earned in the shortest time possible and in the most apparently convenient way, because I'm giving you money and I'm sitting back and waiting. After 5 months, I'm going back to get my 60%, and then I can choose whether to invest back or not. And I mean, who wants to wake up and go taking care of chicken yet someone is doing the dirty?
Let's also, in a minute, before we get into the local stories, let's also look at it this way. Maybe it also points to something deeper, something like laziness. Because why would you get your money and give it to someone else to invest for you, expecting to get returns in 5 months or 4 months as you do nothing? It looks like people don't want their hands to get dirty. They don't want to be innovative, so they try to cut corners and see how best they can make money easily. But
I wouldn't take it as laziness, though. It's an investment strategy.
It is being short-sighted.
Some here, no. Think about it like this. We have actually ventures where people invest some money and they sit back and the money works for them. However, these ventures...
But by the time the money works for you, you've invested quite some bit of time.
Leave alone that. What I'm trying to drive at right now is we have those scenarios where you will invest money and the money will actually come back.
True.
You get it? So, and also think about it from this angle, Olive. Yes, there could be some who are lazy, but there are those who are not very much, they're not very business oriented. Their business acumen is not as good as some people's. So they believe that if they invested here, the money would work instead of them putting it somewhere else where they would make losses. But also, this is transferring risk from you to another party. The unfortunate bit is that you transferred the risk to the wrong group.
By then, not everybody can do business, and I've also come to realize that. So most of the people, instead of just saving the money to be somewhere in the bank or a saving scheme, they would rather put it into something where someone is going to be supervising for them as they are the overseers, but when someone is doing the dirty work for them, as long as you're supervising, it's also a business strategy.
Maybe
so I feel maybe they were really tired of making losses,
Yes,
doing business
but
on their own,
yeah.
and they
Maybe
decided
if
to
you're-
give someone to do the driving seat.
If your business acumen is low, maybe the other option would be to look at other ventures, like Chantal said, where you can invest. You can look at buying unit trusts, in insurance. You can look at buying bonds. You can look at, investing in shares. As in, do your research and find the best way possible to invest your money. But anyway, money, you can always take a risk, and you can always lose money one way or another. So for those that lost money, we are sorry. We hope that the police finds out something and that you can be able to recoup some of what you invested. But that being said, right about now, we delve into the local stories, and later on we will delve into the international stories and a press review. And I will start with the Prime Minister Robin Nabanja in Entebbe project. Prime Minister Honorable Nabanja Robina has visited Entebbe International Airport to assess the progress of the expansion works going on over there. The UPDF Engineering Brigade started working on the passenger terminal building extension project on April 9th, 2022, following a directive from President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Nabanja says that as Uganda prepares to host the G77 plus China and the non-aligned movement early next year, it is important for us to know if all the components of this project will be ready by then to accommodate our visitors. The Prime Minister, while meeting officials from Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, led by their Director General Fred Bamwesige, and the UPDF Engineering Brigade at Entebbe International Airport, says that she wants to establish the progress of works to act immediately where need be. Nabanja says that His Excellence, the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is emphasizing Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, and that is the reason he directed that the UPDF Engineering Brigade take over the works. And moving on, after 7 years of confinement in Kampala, the King of Rwenzururu Kingdom, Charles Wesley Mumbere, has departed for Kasese. I beg your pardon, departed for Kasese yesterday morning. Mumbere departed his residence in Muyenga at about 10:30 a.m. and was driven to Entebbe International Airport before he was flown to Kasese. A fleet of cars with beefed-up security awaited for the king at his residence in Muyenga, a Kampala suburb. The king has been confined in his house and restricted from going to his kingdom in Kasese for 7 years, and he gave UBC TV a short interview before boarding his car. From Muyenga, the king was driven through Gaba Road to Munyonyo Express and then Entebbe International Airport, and the king and his entourage were flown in private chartered plane to Kasese at about midday. The government was represented by the State Minister for Culture, Peace Mutuzo, who says government will continue working together with the kingdom. Rwenzururu Kingdom got problems with government in 2016 after government accused them of terrorism, treason and murder of police officers. The king and 208 of his subjects were arrested after about 100 of the subjects were killed. After DPP dropping all charges against them, the king and his subjects have now been set free. In other news, candidates from the Najanankumbi faction of the Forum for Democratic Change vying for positions on the National Executive Council concluded their campaign yesterday, seeking support from delegate members who will contest the elections on Friday at the Patida Samaj in Lugogo. Party President Oboy Amuriat implored voters to place greater trust in him to fulfill his groundbreaking initiatives. He mentioned that his tenure has been marked by numerous challenges to his leadership. And in other news, police has issued a stern warning to the public, cautioning them against participating in the organized procession by the National Unity Platform to welcome their party president from abroad. This event is scheduled for tomorrow on the 5th. This event is scheduled for today on the 5th of September 2023. The spokesperson for the Kampala Metropolitan Police, Patrick Onyango, has confirmed that extensive deployment by various security agencies is in place to counter any potential unlawful activities associated with this procession. Additionally, individuals working and residing along Entebbe Road have been assured of security to ensure normal business operations. Furthermore, the police are actively investigating and apprehending certain ringleaders involved in the mobilization efforts for this welcoming event.
And away from the local scene, we take a look at what is happening internationally. We cross over and speak Matters World Cup. Now, the international football body FIFA has announced that the 2030 Football World Cup will be hosted by Morocco, Portugal and Spain, with the first 3 matches held in Argentina, Paraguay and Uruguay to mark the 100-year anniversary of the tournament. The decision announced on Wednesday means the World Cup will be held in 6 different countries across 3 continents. The FIFA Council unanimously agreed that the sole candidacy will be the combined bid of Morocco, Portugal and Spain, which will host the event in 2030 and qualify automatically from the existing slot allocation, FIFA said in a statement. Additionally, having taken into account the historical context of the first ever FIFA World Cup, the FIFA Council further unanimously agreed to host a unique centenary celebration ceremony in the country's capital, Montevideo, as well as 3 World Cup matches in Uruguay, Argentina and Paraguay, respectively. And away from that, the Donald Trump show is over, James told reporters after the 77-year-old former president left court at the midpoint of yesterday's proceedings. Before leaving, Trump railed against James and complained that the rigged trial with a judge run by the Democrats was keeping him off the presidential campaign trail. I'd rather be in New Hampshire, South Carolina or Ohio or a lot of other places, Trump said, but I'm stuck here because I have a corrupt attorney general. Responding to Trump, James said, I will not be bullied, and denounced his decision to attend the opening days of the trial as a political stunt, a fundraising stunt. James, who is African American, said Trump's personal attacks on her this week were offensive, they were baseless, they were void of any facts or any evidence. What they were comments that unfortunately fomented violence, comments that I would describe as race-baiting, comments unfortunately that appeal to the bottom of our humanity. And away from that, around 400 people in Egypt have been arrested over riot incidents after President Abdul Fattah al-Sisi announced that he would run for a 3rd term, according to local media. President Sisi's remarks on Tuesday sparked a rare display of public anger. Viral social media videos captured protests in the northwestern city of Massa Matruh. In the footage, people can be heard chanting Sisi out and calling for his decade-long regime to fall. Other videos showed clashes between demonstrators and police. The privately owned Al Manasa news website quoted Saleh Abu Atiyah, the Secretary General of the Massa Matruh Bar Association, saying that 400 people, mostly young men, had been detained. And speaking matters climate, the Pope has something to say. Pope Francis has blamed climate change on the irresponsible lifestyle connected with the Western model. The Pontiff urged world leaders on Wednesday to commit to binding targets to slow climate change before it's too late, warning that God's increasingly warming creation is fast reaching a point of no return. In an update to his landmark 2015 encyclical on the environment, Francis heightened alarm about the irreversible harm to people and planet already underway and lamented that once again the world's poor and most vulnerable are paying the highest price. He said, "We are now unable to halt the enormous damage we have caused. We barely have time to prevent even more tragic damage." He took aim at the United States, noting that per capita emissions in the US are twice as high as China and 7 times greater than the average in poor countries. That is it for climate news and also what is happening on the international scene.
Thank you so much, Chantal, for that update. Now, Jerome Paul Sonko takes us through the press review this morning.
Now, the front pages of the New Vision. Why Namirembe Bishop election was postponed is the headline today. 5 bishops to investigate irregularities of the same matter. Now, excitement as Mumbere returns home. More of that with the New Vision today. Who is Subi, the new bishop of East Busoga? Read more about him in the New Vision. Ugandans lose millions in chicken scam. More of the same in the New Vision. Now, Uganda at 61, independence, consequences of Uganda's national boundaries. More of the same with the New Vision as court rules on sale of dead persons' land. And then bedbugs, France to hold crisis meeting. Away from the New Vision, the Daily Monitor, return of the king as the people of Kasese welcome Mumbere back to Kasese. Then Parliament demands statement on the Uganda Wildlife Authority gorilla ticket scandal as church picks East Busoga bishop, delays Luwarira replacement though. Now, in the other news, a capital chicken scam triggers police inquiry into doggy pyramid schemes, and more of the DM today in the relationships, how to keep your bond in the social media age. That is the Daily Monitor and the New Vision. Later on, we shall be looking at what is making headlines across the East African region as well.
Well, it is Good Morning Uganda, and if you're just joining us, don't worry, you've not missed so much. We will be returning with topical discussions during the real hour and of course later on agenda. And if you are a sports fan, then Ruben Impima later on will give you the sports update. So we have so much we are serving you this morning, and we want you to be full of information and entertainment. And speaking of entertainment, today being Thursday, we take you back in time with Sir Elton John with Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word.
This is Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Like you've mentioned, every other month you'll definitely see enrollment of number plates. Or after 2 months we have new number plates on board, which shows you it is now an everyday thing for Ugandans to buy their particular cars or vehicles. But it being a Thursday, I will be throwing back to the fact that today is International Teachers Day, and if I'm to throw back, I will definitely start throwing back to the days of school. Days where we had school teachers, primary, high school. Surprisingly, most of them are still doing the same job, though others have actually upgraded from the schools they were at during our times. For example, if your teacher, or if most of my teachers have actually got time to interact with, the ones who are actually just teaching basic subjects, I went back and upgraded. Others are now in administrative roles, either as a director of studies, head teachers. But now throwing it back to school times, on such days like public holidays, these are days when we felt really that were more exciting for us. For example, on a Wednesday like yesterday, and you notice that tomorrow will be Teachers' Day and it's a public holiday, we were all excited simply because we knew we were not going to go to school or we were not going to study anything. So I think even up to now, it brings a lot of excitement for the school-going children when they know that today is a public holiday. And not only that, they do know that if tomorrow Friday is a day to go back to school. Even Monday, they won't be able to study. So these are some of those days that made us really excited while we're back at school. When you know you have public holidays as long as these ones, because today is a public holiday, then after the weekend, even Monday is a public holiday. So that means as a child going to school, you have all that free time not to be doing any kind of,
and the teachers also are
exactly.
getting some reprieve. They don't have to be in class teaching for
Yes.
at least today. Then the bummer though is usually you don't work on Thursday and then you go back on Friday. And,
and
but
then on
still.
Saturday you don't work again. So it's but anyway, you're getting time to relax and relieve of some stress.
And also, it's
Yeah.
beautiful that we get to recognize the people that make us who we are. If you ask me, the unsung heroes are teachers, because you and I would not be here if someone didn't decide to be a teacher and train us to be the people that we have become. We might, revere doctors and lawyers and, many other people from different fields, but someone made them that. And
True.
it was a teacher. So to the teachers out there, we celebrate you. And today, as the world recognizes your contribution to society, here at Good Morning Uganda, we say thank you for all the things that you've done, for every contribution that you have made to our lives and to the lives of the youngsters that are coming up. That being said, good morning, Lady in Black.
Good morning, Olive. How are you doing this morning?
I am lovely. How are you?
I am very well, and I'm hoping that our dearest viewer is also feeling well this morning. It is a Thursday, and of course, like you said, we are throwing back. And just like Sonko said, since it's Teachers' Day, I'm throwing back to a particular teacher of mine.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Enjoy the true Ugandan coffee experience as we commemorate the rich legacy of Uganda's Arabica coffee this International Coffee Day. The Coffee Day celebration will be held on the 5th of October 2023 at Agri Evolve Limited in Nyabirongo Parish, Kisinga Town Council in Kasese District, under the theme Celebrating Arabica Coffee from the Foothills of Mount Rwenzori. This event is organized by Uganda Coffee Development Authority and Uganda Coffee Federation with support from Agri Evolve, USAID, Feed the Future, the European Union, Private Sector Foundation Uganda, Rainforest Alliance, Kenya Ports Authority, and EcoBank.
So, you are ready to invest in Airtel's initial public offering? Good choice. I'm going to show you how to do it straight from your phone. First, you're going to want to make sure you have a Securities Central Depository SCD account. Dial star 185 star 85 hash from your Airtel number. Choose Airtel IPO purchase from the available options. Enter your valid national identification number when prompted. Before you purchase, there are a few things you need to know. The minimum purchase is 2,500 shares. The share price is 100 Uganda shillings. Select the number of shares you wish to purchase. Choose your relevant broker for the purchase. Enter your Airtel Money PIN to confirm the transaction. Congratulations! You receive a confirmation message of your successful purchase.
Previously, in most of these areas that we had prioritized, farmers would produce, but you don't access market because the roads are not there. So you have the middlemen that would have access and they persevere to go into those deep in the villages and they buy with their own prices. They will go there and set prices for you and yet you are the ones who have produced this food. But now this time with the market linkages, people can now access market because we have bridges that were, streams that were bottlenecks to access by the farmers. It has constructed bridges, so farmers can now reach market.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
It is a beautiful Thursday morning. Thank you so much for keeping it Good Morning Uganda. And in a special way, thank you so much for keeping it Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. We are 60 years old. That is amazing. Now, UBC came into force. Then it was Uganda Television. In 1963, just after a year after Uganda became independent. And it has been here serving Ugandans since then. Of course, there is a whole conversation on where we started from the time when broadcasting started at 6 p.m. up to midnight, to this time where we we broadcast 24/7, and where Good Morning Uganda comes to you at 6:30 every single morning from Monday to Friday. So we have come a long way, but it also, in a special way, our country, our motherland, Uganda, turns 61 years old as well on 9th October 2023. And this year's theme of independence is sustaining a united and progressive nation, taking charge of our future as a free nation. And over the years, we have seen Uganda taking charge of its situation as a free nation, so much so that lately our parliament and the legislature, as it used to be called back then, we are now making laws like, for instance, the anti-homosexuality law that has made the West not very happy, but making our president say we are a free nation and we have norms and cultures that we respect, and you're not going to come into our house and tell us what to do. That shows you that as Uganda, we have come a long way from the point where other people were making decisions for us as a country to the point where we are making decisions of change and development in this country in terms of infrastructure, in terms of economy, in terms of health and education. We've come a long way, and this is why we are here today. So later on, we would like for you to join our conversation, sharing your opinion on Uganda's development since independence. Yes, we've come a long way. And of course, we have had hits and misses here and there. But overall, I think that we are doing well as a country. Imagine in 1962, when we got our independence, Uganda, we had a population of about 7.2 million people. And as we speak now, before, of course, the census next year confirms, we are at about 45 million or even more. So we have, population-wise, we have grown, and of course, in many other aspects, we have still grown. So thank you so much for being a Ugandan, proudly Ugandan, and for every contribution you have made to this great nation of ours to make it stand here today, this morning, as we know it, the Pearl of Africa, a beautiful country. We have beautiful weather as a nation, and of course we are peaceful. We've enjoyed quite some a bit of peace, right? As a nation. Anyway, my name is Olive Monica Najima, and to speak about Uganda at 61, I'm joined by Joram Paul Sonko and Chantal Olive Kandinda. And Chantal, I would love for you to take us through where Uganda has come from in in the space of health.
Just before I get to the space of health, I was taking a look at. I'm more interested as a lady. I'm more interested in the money element.
Oh wow!
For starters, yes.
All right.
So I was taking a look at you know how we've been over the years, and you know how it has been in terms of growth GDP wise, and we've really not done badly, and it's been like it's called a steady progress. And when you look at the years, the years of the 1960s, we were badly off. Yes. We were badly off. When you talk about GDP, and your GDP is about 0.93. Say $0.93 billion dollars, and right now, as of 2022, we are talking about $45.56 billion. That is GDP. As a country, I believe we have gone, and that is about 4.65% growth as a country. I mean, of course, there are countries that are doing better than us, but at the moment, we are happy for ourselves, though we have seen better. And in the years of 2011, we were at 9.39 growth. And we've also seen, we've been in negatives at some point. Around 1985, we were in negatives. We had, the growth rate was negative 3.3. In terms of, meaning there was no growth literally. So we've had those, you know, the highs and the lows. And well, it's been a good ride. But there's from the years, we keep fluctuating, and in 2006 we had about 10.67 in terms of growth when it comes to GDP. So we've had the highs and the lows, and of course these are determined by other forces that we may not have control over. But in general, our GDP has grown, and I think we should be looking forward to even seeing better unless otherwise.
Okay, now maybe to simplify it a bit, because I think someone viewing is like, GDP, what is she saying? Let's relate this, let's speak about this in terms of, because GDP of course represents economic growth, but let's look at the area of business. Let's look at how the country has grown in terms of business, in terms of investments.
Looking back in 1962, most of the businesses in the country were owned by Asians, and the Asians were actually running the most businesses here, roughly maybe around 50% before you bring in the whites or the British at the time.
We have the likes of Ginger and Mbale.
All designed under you know, the Asian kind of thing. And we have all those buildings, even when you go to Ginger and Mbale, even some of the old buildings in Kampala having names of Indian or Asian investors who are running business in Kampala. Of course, one would ask why we still had those Asians, because they were the very first to come into the country before even the British set foot at the coast of East Africa. So when you look at 1962, the trend was generally most of the active businesses were being manned by the Indians, and also we had the British taking part of the administration of everything in regards to how business moves as well. But most of the Ugandans at the time, and these are also some of the stories that some of our grandparents share with us at the same time, that most of them were more like, as you go to Chikubo and you see the tan boys and everything, so it's more like they were doing the casual. Most of the Ugandans were doing the casual work. Very few Ugandans, those who are privileged enough to get some education away from the country, were into active business at the time. So it's the Ugandans who are either the chauffeurs, as well as carrying these particular goods on behalf of the Indians. But the trend has actually moved further, because when you look at from 1962, when most of the Ugandans started getting into administrative roles, even though it took some time, because during the transition of power, you get to realize that we still had British influence at the time, simply because we are still more like babies at the time, because we were just getting our independence politically. So in the long run, when you look at the early 1970s, around 1972, when the late, that is former president as well, Idi Amin Dada, apparently expelled the Asian business people in 1972. 90 days. And that was the Kickstarter of, I should say, a transition of lots of things. One, the economy first trembled a bit before it actually started
studying. To put it lightly.
No, why I'm saying
why I'm saying
it trembled a bit is because most of the Ugandans who were given these businesses had less ideas about
zero ideas.
No, we had those who had, because they had actually worked with some Indians.
Yes.
You know, when you work with a business person, you may I have some element of business in you,
but still you're not.
That's
like the person who
why I'm saying I don't want to put it that they had
zero.
no idea. It's because they knew how money operates, at least. But to to run business for a long time, that is where the issue came.
Wouldn't someone say that you're trying to be politically correct? Because we also know that shelves in those businesses in no time were empty. but also another question would be, is it because they didn't have business ideas, or they didn't know where to source for these products? Because Indians had their sources, and now you are new in the business, probably you know how to run it, but did they even have an idea of where to source the products?
That is also another also another idea, by the way, because most of the Indians were getting goods away from the country, simply because they had already established connections all over the continent from the coast. Now most of the Ugandans were only having ideas that these goods are coming into the country. But so all that is necessary for me is to sell goods. So they don't know how to get or purchase. Now those who knew how to purchase maybe goods and getting the goods from the border were very few. Those are the ones who used to work with the Indians to go to the border and pick these goods. And then at times, why you've mentioned the idea of the shelves is, imagine you awarded a business of your former boss. The first thing you have in mind is, wow, is this all mine today? So you're going to first of all take away everything. And the mere fact that you've never started a business on your own, you don't even know, if I take out this from my business, how will I be able to survive? So the economic crisis in Uganda, remember we weren't performing so well still economically, even after independence. Now once that happened, because the reason as why the expulsion came in is that the president at the time, Idi Amin, wanted Ugandans to get into the businesses also. Yes. To ideally get to know how business is done, so that the bigger percentage of the people running the country economically were also Ugandans, the same way the politics had changed. But now from there, tough times came into the country. I think economically we started performing well again as early as 1987, when the NRA, turned NRM now, took charge, where now the economy of the country came in, started changing, ideally because now Ugandans were free to do business. And I feel our economy was greatly affected by the level of insecurities at the time, because not everybody was free to do business in the 1960s as such. First of all, in the 1960s, we were really excited about getting independence. So Ugandans were still living in times of, remembering the harsh days some of them went through. So around the early 1962, 1963, 64, those who are engaging in active businesses, most of them were actually now coming into town. Remember, at the time, I think it's only Kampala that was more developed after Jinja. Because Jinja had the industries, and Entebbe was home to,
it was home to the presidents and the airport
leaders
itself.
Exactly. So Jinja was giving us that identity of an industrial city or industrial town at that time, which looked like the more developed one. But Kampala had more administrative offices. Yes. So that is where the development was coming in. But looking at industries at the time, we had not so many, but then the economy was showing huge signs. why I put in the 1972 economic crisis in the country is because from there, dark times for Uganda economically started.
And politically,
And then
but
politically
we will get
also, yes.
we will get that to that later. And if you're just joining us, we'd like for you to share your views on Uganda's development since the independence, which was in 1962. How far have we come? What milestones have we made, and where are we lacking as a country? Now, speaking matters health, because you know, we have grown so much, and Uganda has had some hard times in that sphere of life when it came to health. In the 1980s, we were fighting against diseases, not one but many, and some of them really took a great percentage of our citizens and of course our young children. And I would like for Chantal to share some light on where we have come from regarding health as a country to where we stand right now.
Well, just briefly, in the 1960s, Uganda had one of the best healthcare systems in the 1960s. That is in the region, 1960s. And I believe this could have been because we had foreigners in the country that, you know, advocated for this at a particular point. But then, because they started losing popularity at a particular point, it got worse in the 1970s. And you'll agree with me that, like Sonko put it, the 1970s, that is when the former president, the late Idi Amin, chased the Asians out. And we all do know that these people played a very important role when it comes to development. I mean, the shops, the big shops that we had in town, the access to healthcare had to be good because these people really cared for their health and stuff like that. So in this case, in the 1970s, we saw a drop in Uganda's health sector, and also the other reason could have been the military turmoil and civil strife that was in the country at a time. And over time, we have seen a change. Of course, international health indicators as of now indicate that Uganda's healthcare is becoming more and more accessible and robustly public, donor, private, interlinked sector, which makes it even better for Ugandans. I mean, you will agree with me that we have more referral hospitals as a country as compared to back then in the years. And I also do note that we have when it comes to what do they call them? Are they machines? When it comes to equipment, there's a particular word I'm looking for. I mean, if you went
medical?
Yes, if you went to Arua right now, that referral hospital, you know, it has certain equipment that we didn't have back then. If you went to Gulu Hospital right now, and if you went to Mbale, there is equipment that we have that we didn't have back then. So it shows that we have grown. And of course, also do note that we have produced a number of experts in the medical field. If you go to Aga Khan Hospital in Kenya, for example, if you are Ugandan, you're most likely going to be served by a Ugandan because they could speak your language, maybe they could speak Luganda. So we have seen growth over time in terms of health. We've seen hospitals extend to different parts of the country. We have seen health center, you know, 2s and 3s in the different parts. Now, I'm not saying that this is perfect, but compared to where we have been and where we are now, we are doing way better. Back then, people were dying of HIV. If you remember, the stretch of the 1980s and 90s, very many people died of HIV, and do you know why? And even early 2000s, you know why? Because there was limited access to things like ARVs. There was limited access to even information when it came to some of these diseases and pandemics. And at the end of the day, we lost a number of lives, which is different right now. There is communication that comes through. If there is an outbreak, for example, of Ebola, the Ministry of Health will come out and actually talk about it. If there is a virus that is out there, we will know. And this has been a transition that has been good for the country. I believe we are in a better place, and we are yet to say better.
Yeah, actually speaking about the HIV scourge that claimed many lives of Ugandans, it is said that with the establishment of PEPFAR in 2003, Uganda became the first country to provide PEPFAR-supported ART for HIV treatment. To date, PEPFAR has invested over $5 billion in HIV prevention, care and treatment services in Uganda, and has also contributed world-class PEPFAR-supported HIV and TB research. What this means is that as a country, we've done so well in fighting against HIV. Actually, on the continent, for so many years, we were #1 in our efforts in fighting against HIV. But also, we had polio at one time in the country. And especially the current government did so much in that area. At the time, we had many children born dying, not dying, but being crippled because of the polio disease. At the time, they were called the 6 killer diseases. And right now, okay, they are called 8 killer diseases because they added some more. And as a country, yes.
And they became immunizable.
And yes, so with the emergence of immunization and, immunization at birth for babies, we have had polio to almost zero, I think, because right now, it's almost impossible to find a child that has polio. It's almost impossible to find a child between the ages of 1 and 5 and 10 that is crippled. It is, yes, so we have, taken great stances in the area of health. And like Chantal said, we now have more referral hospitals, and we also have many health centers, 3 health center, 4 just spread across the country.
We're actually clicking around 7,000 of when you look at hospitals that we are currently having.
As a country, that is hospitals.
Non-profitable or government, inclusive of the private as well. So which generally shows you how the health sector is growing in terms of access to a health
medical
center.
care.
As of this is September, this is 2021. The country had 139 general hospitals, 14 regional referral hospitals, and 5 national referral hospitals. And of course, we could name Butabika, Mulago, China, Uganda Friendship Hospital, Kawempe National Referral Hospital, Chirudu, name it. And these are hospitals that were not even existent back then. Yes, back then. So I believe with that, we are headed for a good place when it comes to the health sector. And for me, the biggest part is the fact that we have more information right now. Not that we have the best, not that we have the best when it comes to how information is put out or how we receive this information, but we are in a better place. People died, especially because of diseases, because of ignorance. But right now, we have all these events that happen. We have the Ministry of Health that is really advocating. I mean, if it's the cancer run, you're going to find them there. If it's World AIDS Day, there is these celebrations. There is these, adverts running on different television stations and radio stations that are informing Ugandans on how to handle these things. I mean, look at COVID-19 when we were hit. Imagine we had been hit by COVID-19 back then. What would happen to Ugandans? We would die like, what is that word? But we were really going to die, very many of us. But it struck in 2020, and there was access to hospitals. There was access to information that enabled us to protect ourselves and to handle the situation better. And I believe, like I said, we are in a better place.
And also you should note that in the beginning, only people that were able financially were the only ones to able to access ARVs, so they were at a cost.
Yes, they were expensive.
Yes, they were very expensive.
Those that couldn't would only take Septrin.
Exactly. But later on, the government made concerted efforts to ensure that all Ugandans could access ARVs for free. So right now, if someone has HIV/AIDS, they go to a hospital, and if it is deemed fit for them to start on ARVs by medical workers, they will have access to these for free. And what that has done, it has enabled many people to live positively and live actually a normal life, today, if someone is taking their meds religiously and living a health lifestyle, you may actually not even tell that they are HIV positive, which has been a move in the right direction, because today mothers can have children. All you have to do is have a test when you're pregnant, so that the medical workers know how to handle your child and yourself at the moment of delivery. Because if you didn't know, children are exposed to HIV at birth. Children do not get HIV, do not get infected with the HIV virus while in the womb. It happens at birth. So that's why there is mandatory testing for HIV for expecting mothers. They are trying to avert infection rates, or to make sure that your child is healthy. And of course, we have made moves still in health in the world of breastfeeding. Now, Zambia Hospital has a breastfeeding milk bank. So, lots of things have happened for us as a country since 1962 to this day. But now I would like for us to look into the political situation in the country since I got independence to this day.
9 presidents since then. When you look at 61 years of our independence, we've had 9 of them. And
with some serving for like 3 months.
Exactly. And then, of course, the longest serving one is the current one we are having. But from 1962, when we got independence, our very first president at the time was the king of Uganda as well, Sir Edward Mutesa II, served from 1962 to 1966 before the prime minister, who also led Uganda to independence at the time, because we had the UPC and the Kabaka Yeka as the political party that teamed up, or with that coalition. Because at the time, we all remember as well that the DP also had a very huge presence in the country, the DP, the Democratic Party, and the UPC. So from there, Milton Obote coming into power in 1966, around there. Now, that clearly gave us a very key sign of how leadership may be in the next few years, because according to the way he got power at the time. And it wasn't even long enough. 1971, Idi Amin Dada staged a coup against the president. That was Dr. Milton Obote, the first because he did come back the second time. So from there, Idi Amin did 9 years of ruling the country. And of course, when you look back at the history books, they don't write so well of him. But then for some of the other people who also lived during his era would tell you he had some element of patriotism in him as a leader. So a leader won't be too bad all the time. They also have the good side of them. And then after that, he was also overthrown, 1979. Still there was a coalition, and people actually, rather there was more of a staged kind of, fight or battle, which as well included the Tanzanian forces led by President at the time, Julius Nyerere. So when you look at how power has been changing in the country,
there is an underlying way of how power has been changing in the country.
It was more of battling it out. You're losing to an army guy, or you're losing to an army officer. Because by then, when you look at the presidents that came through, we had Yusuf Chironde Rure, who ruled in a space of only 3 months. From April, it was actually 2 months. April to June. So from April to June, then came in Godfrey Binaisa, who only ruled for about 6 months, from 1979 to 1980. He as well also got off. Then we had Paul Mwanga, who also ruled he actually ruled for weeks, because he ruled from 12th May 1980 to the 22nd of May. That's not even weeks.
So now,
and then we then got Apollo Milton Obote. Now I think here where we had, in a period where we had 3 presidents in a span of 2 years, I think it's where we had conflicts whereby no one could stay in power for long. everybody was hungry for power. And the political atmosphere in Uganda was, most of the political thinkers or critics believe that the reason as to why we entered into such phases was because we were too young at the time to get independence, or most of the political
but
the people who were leading us into...
What do you mean by we were too young? Because one thing I remember is that
power hungry.
People, but how come it was only in Uganda? Because when you look at our friends in East Africa, we got independence around the same time as
Tanzania,
Kenya, as
1961.
Tanzania. Yes. So why is it that it was in Uganda where we just couldn't figure things out? And actually, I want you to bring it forward, to fast it forward to the current political situation in the country.
I think at the time we were power hungry. Everybody wanted to have some grasp of power, and that is the same element we are currently having today when it comes to the opposition parties we have in Uganda today. When you look at how when you look at the wrangles in the opposition parties, everyone has a fraction. Let's say the other person wants to be the lead of this opposition party. It takes us back to the reason as to why UPC at the time had to work with the Kabaka Eka. Again, during that time, UPC and Democratic Party were dominating the politics of the country. So everyone wanted to have that say of, I led Uganda to independence. So I think in the long run, and I'm not even saying it was only happening in Uganda, because even in Kenya, there were issues rotating to who would be president after the country got independence. So ours was more of who was more power hungry at the time. That's why we experienced those drifts in leadership, whereby everyone wanted to overthrow the other. And politically, we got some political freedom 1986. Then we got, that is when we got into elections and getting elections starting 1996. After the NRM government took over. Then
2001.
2001.
Then 2006.
So since 1996, I think we've been having consecutive elections after the change of the constitution. So but lest we forget, we still had elections even before 1986.
Yes, but for at least what you, like you said, we've had them consistently since 1986. So Chantal, I would like to know, would you say that currently, as far as development, the political development in the country is concerned, we are in a good place?
I don't think I would be in place to make a declaration on that, especially because I believe someone out there is better placed to
tell us how we've changed politically.
Yes, to really give us a good stand on that. So I may not be in position to like give a stand on that. But I wanted to say something on what Sonko said. Between 1962 and yes, 1986 that you're talking about, Uganda had what we call neo-colonialism. Yes, we seemed like we got independence, but if you remember your history properly, that we still had these interventions of the whites in there because apparently they were overseeing, apparently. And what other neo-colonialism are you looking for if it's not that? And that is why we had all these power shifts. That is why we had people that were actually being influenced by the whites. That is the truth. There was influence, and that is why you would find someone wanting to fight the other. I would like to briefly just compare Tanzania and Uganda currently.
Before you do that, sorry to cut you short, I'd like to invite our viewers to have this conversation with us, sharing their views on Uganda's development since 1962 to this day. You can reach us through WhatsApp number 0709 602 592, 0709 602 592, and on the X app, the hashtag is UBCGM. Please go ahead.
Yeah, as I was saying, when you look at Tanzania's politics right now and you look at Uganda's, there is a notable difference that I would like to put forward. With the death of the former president, Magufuli, we anticipated a lot of things. And according to their constitution, the vice president takes over until the next election, isn't it? Now, we thought being a lady should probably not, the other political party members would not agree to it, and blah, blah, blah. We had all these thoughts. But then again, it prevailed. So you realize that they have a system that they have put in place for themselves. Also, do note that Magufuli had a very independent mind at a point, and it stretches back down to even the previous presidents before Magufuli was president. So when you look at the independence of even the opposition in Tanzania, and you look at Uganda and how we are doing, you realize that we have a very big gap. The truth is, some of our opposition political parties are still influenced by international bodies or international, or whites, if I may say. And I still think, low-key, we are still struggling with neocolonialism. Low-key.
We are still doing that. Should I take that as your parting shot? Sonko, what would be your parting shot on Uganda's progress from independence to date?
We can have a full month or full year of talking about Uganda's independence or progress, developments since 1962, because there has been tremendous changes, everything. And those who have lived all these years, we have people who are 70 years old today, those who were actually born in 1962. You've actually lived to experience all these changes. Then we have also had some challenges within there. So to me, I believe the changes that I've seen by the time I've actually grown, the history I've studied about the country, and stories I've also had from my parents as well during such times, you get to realize that there has been some changes, but also the aspect of neocolonialism is something that is affecting us in the way we do things. And when you also, why I'm actually sticking to the opposition party in a minute is because opposition parties tend to drive conversations around the developments that are away from our country, and all the time, driving the agenda of why aren't we like the other country, which is good, but we as well need to look at how can we progressively grow as Uganda before we even look at the other people. But I still wish all the Ugandans a happy Independence Day come Monday.
Well, we will be closing with a comment. It is quite a long journey, 61 years of independence. Only that gives us a reason to celebrate. When the Union Jack was put down and the Ugandan flag raised high, it was at that moment when most Ugandans felt free from the enslavement of British rule, away from the achievements and growth politically, socially and economically, because those we've achieved countless since independence. But the main reason for us to celebrate is being free from colonial rule. It is an indication of growth and self-esteem, so we have a million reasons to celebrate our independence. However, there are some weaknesses where our government needs to put much emphasis, because celebrating independence every year is meaningless when the challenges like unemployment, low standards of living, poverty, famine, high taxation, epidemic diseases, and many others are still rampant. Let our leaders do their best, and we, the locals, also find a genuine reason to celebrate our independence. This is from Cricket Derek Gargamel. Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda. We will be right back with the GMU Business Review and traffic updates.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Enjoy Enjoy the true Ugandan coffee experience as we commemorate the rich legacy of Uganda's Arabica coffee this International Coffee Day. The Coffee Day celebration will be held on the 5th of October 2023 at Agri Evolve Limited in Nyabirongo Parish, Kisinga Town Council in Kasese District, under the theme Celebrating Arabica Coffee from the foothills of Mount Rwenzori. This event is organized by Uganda Coffee Development Authority and Uganda Coffee Federation with support from Agri Evolve, USAID, Feed the Future, the European Union, Private Sector Foundation Uganda, Rainforest Alliance, Kenya Ports Authority, and EcoBank.
So, you are ready to invest in Airtel's initial public offering? Good choice. I'm going to show you how to do it straight from your phone. First, you're going to want to make sure you have a Securities Central Depository SCD account. Dial *185*85# from your Airtel number. Choose Airtel IPO purchase from the available options. Enter your valid national identification number when prompted. Before you purchase, there are a few things you need to know. The minimum purchase is 2,500 shares. The share price is 100 Uganda shillings. Select the number of shares you wish to purchase. Choose your relevant broker for the purchase. Enter your Airtel Money PIN to confirm the transaction. Congratulations! You receive a confirmation message of your successful purchase.
Still good morning, good people. It is Thursday and we're running into the business update of this morning. Well, of course, as we kick it off with the business update this morning, we start off with the Capital Chicken saga. This one, according to what has been making rounds on social media, everyone, especially those who invested, are still counting losses. And then there are those who are actually happy for the losses of the others, which is not good, by the way. Police is investigating a famous company, that is Capital Chicken. The investigations are still going, which was allegedly swindled billions of shillings from its clients who were saving with it money. Now, the Capital Chicken had its offices in Kamocha, that is Kanjocha Street, as you're heading to those ends of Jinja, rather than Tinda, areas around there, because most of the people who started investing live around these same areas. And several people had invested capital with the Capital Chicken and would receive an interest every after expiry of 4 to 5 months. Now, Luka Waisijire, who is the deputy spokesperson of Kampala Metropolitan, said that a big number of clients have opened complaints as well. And besides that, we've also been seeing social media rounds where most of the people have been hitting on the social media influencers who are marketing this particular brand of Capital Chicken. But then again, you don't blame someone who is being paid by the brand to push them further. But this is not the very first time we are having all these Ponzi schemes or people losing out their money as well. We also had the BLQ, those ones are also more related to a betting kind of situation, but also most of the Ugandans lost quite a number of, or lost quite good money during such a time. Now, the police deputy spokesperson for Kampala Metropolitan did reveal that 21 people have so far reported, and the case is being followed up as police does continue with more investigations into this particular matter. Now, similar companies of the likes of Capital Chicken have for years, like I've mentioned, the BLQ among others, taken advantage of naive Ugandans and desperate Ugandans to make money off their hard-earned savings or hard-earned money. So, which is a serious caution to Ugandans to continue checking out before they invest their money. Now, let's get to the Uganda Wildlife Authority, the gorilla scam of the Uganda Wildlife Authority, where billions have been swindled, or billions were swindled according to information coming in from there. The private sector players in the tourism industry have strongly denounced the illegal and dishonest activities involving the Uganda Wildlife Authority staff and certain individuals connected to the gorilla ticketing scandal, where billions were swindled, and the government is actually tracking to see who is the main character behind this particular one. Now, this condemnation from the private tour operators in the country arises at a time when the leading conservation body, that is the Uganda Wildlife Authority, is embroiled in the multiple fraudulent schemes. Now, the Association of Uganda Tourism Operators has unequivocally condemned the gorilla permit scam orchestrated by the officials from the Uganda Wildlife Authority. Now, this particular scam is just estimated to have cost taxpayers approximately 60 billion Ugandan shillings, according to the figures. And they're actually calling for thorough investigation into why this is. It is actually alleged that there was a coordinated syndicate involving the Uganda Wildlife Authority staff and tour operators collaborating in a scheme that revolved around the recycling of gorilla trekking permits. Now, however, some of those mentioned deny over purchasing the disputed trekking tickets. Now, gorilla trekking in Uganda stands as one of our premier tourism attractions, especially for the tourists that go to southwestern Uganda. Now, recent statistics further reveal that the gorillas contribute approximately 70% of the country's tourism revenues, with foreign tourists paying $700 per person, $700 per person only to go and see these gorillas. So that particular scandal is one the government is steadily looking at. Summing up with the business update this morning, we now look at the forex market to see how the various currencies were trading by close of business yesterday. Looking at the US dollar that we start with, it was buying at 3,737.00 while selling at 3,747.00. And then closing time, it was buying at 3,734.88 while selling at 3,744.88. The Great Britain pound was buying at 4,508.37 while selling at 4,520.44. And then the euro was buying at 3,909.29 while selling at 3,919.76. And then the Kenyan shilling at 25.17 shillings while selling at 25.24 shillings. The Tanzanian shilling selling at 1.49 shillings while buying at 1.49 shillings as well. The South African rand was buying at 192.98 while selling at 193.50. That is it for the business update this morning. Now our focus turns back to the press review. We start off with the front pages of the dailies in Uganda. The New Vision with the headline, why Namirembe Bishop election was postponed, as 5 bishops to investigate irregularities. More of the same, we look at who is Subi, the new bishop of East Busoga. You can read more of the same in the New Vision. Now, Ugandans have lost billions in the chicken scam. You can read more about the capital chicken saga in the New Vision case today. Uganda at 61, consequences of Uganda's national boundaries. Read more about Uganda's independence journey and after independence. Then court rules on sale of dead person is land. More of the same with the New Vision today. Excitement as Mumbere returns home. A pictorial of the king in Kasese on that warm reception from the people of the Renzururu. Then furthermore, on the issue to do with bedbugs internationally, France is set to hold crisis meeting of the same. Elsewhere, the Daily Monitor, the return of the king. Charles Mumbele returns as President Museveni promotes 50 soldiers. More of the same with the Daily Monitor. Parliament demands statement on the Uganda Wildlife Authority gorilla ticket scandal. As in the other news, capital chicken scam triggers police inquiry into doggy pyramid schemes in the country. As church picks East Busoga's bishop delays Luwarira replacement. Why is that so? More of the same with the Daily Monitor. Now, crossing the borders to Kenya, the Daily Nation, Musalia's big win. Reshuffle, principal secretaries and ambassadors also affected with the cabinet reshuffles in Kenya. Besides that, teachers pain and unfolding hope amid shortages in the sector. More of the International Teachers' Day celebrations is the Daily Nation in Kenya. Now, Klopp wants Spurs versus Liverpool replay after the video assistant referee blunder. More of the same in the sports of the Daily Nation today. Now, suffering amid plenty irony of the Central Bank of Kenya food and prices report as Dubai farm to get Helios Telcon stake. More of the same in the Daily Nation as social worker is said to spend 35 years in jail for child theft. Lastly, the Citizen newspaper in Tanzania, why more fuel is on the way. More fuel pain is on the way as the East African community budget crisis drags on. Besides that, tackle education woes, teachers urge Tanzanian government. And besides that, loans, fresh hopes for diploma students in Tanzania. Well, that is it for the press review as well. We've got 6 minutes to the top of the hour. Chantal Oliver Kandinda is here to give us the traffic updates as well.
Thank you, Jerome Paul, for the updates, especially with the East African papers and what is happening in business. Well, let's dive into what is on the road. And of course, I cannot take you through all the roads. But just to give you a trick, you're better off moving before it clocks 8 a.m. because in most cases, that time, jam becomes terrible around, around that time. So you, my friend, might need to move earlier than that. But as you can see on your screen, I am Kawempe side, as you can see, and I'm trying to get my way to town. And as you can see, Kawempe seems to be a bit of when you're coming, Kawempe seems to be having a lot of jam. And Bogo Road, if you're using Bogo Road, it has traffic moves smoothly, you know. And if I proceed all the way, I'm going to be facing some good amounts of jam. So you might want to reconsider the route that you will be using when you are trying to get to town. And earlier on I tried checking what is happening with the different routes, and it turns out that Shira Road seems to be doing quite well. And like I said, the trick is move before 8 a.m. because if it clocks to 8 a.m. you will be in trouble. You may not be in position. To move properly. And also, if you are coming to the side that has Useful Lay Road, you are still free to move. I had checked that out earlier. You would be free to move until you get to the traffic lights at Ginger Road. But let's first go back to Kawempe. Now in Kawempe, you are headed for some good amounts of jam, whether you're coming to town or going back to Kawempe side. There is some good jam right there. And I'm coming all the way to the Boise roundabout, or the one that has the Kampala Northern Bypass, and then I'm trying to cross through, and I'm looking at joining Bombo Road. So if you are coming to town trying to join Bombo Road, if that's the best route you have, then please prepare your fuel in time. Make sure that you have enough fuel, because there is a bit of jam that is on both ends, both for those who are coming to town and those who are going back to the Northern Bypass or to the Boise roundabout. So all the way through Bombo Road, I am seeing a lot of jam. And of course, as you get to the roundabout that has it's called the Mulago roundabout. As you get to the Mulago roundabout, or the one that has the synagogue church, you're still headed for quite a lot of jam. So I highly recommend that if you have another route that you can use, please do go ahead and use that route, because at the end of the day, you might want to save on some time. However, someone will say maybe we need to move earlier. By the time it clocks 8 a.m., jam gets a little too much. Now, I am still on Bombo Road, and like I said, at this particular junction that has Shell Mulago, that has the synagogue church, you decide where you would like to go. But if you are thinking of coming this end that has the Makerere University, the Eastern Gate, you are free to move all the way into Wandegea. Jam is really not so much. You can move easily until you reach the junction. Of course, junctions usually have lots of jam. That is why you'll find some of the challenges. But after the junction, all the way up as you're going to YMCA, there is no jam, and you are free to move. For those who are trying to join Lumumba Avenue, there is just a little bit of a hold up. It's a bit slow, but it is moving. But once you join Lumumba Avenue, you will be able to move until you reach the junction that has that dental clinic, and that's when you will find a bit of jam. But short of that, you are headed for a good move. Still on Bombo Road. And if you are coming all the way up to Equatoria, that shopping mall, there is just a little bit of hold-ups here and there, but you are good to go. Areas of Watoto Church seem to be having a lot of jam, and of course that is brought about by the junction that takes you to Chagwa Road. And if you are sloping down to Chagwa Road, trying to join Mukwano Mall, trying to join Rashid Khamis Road, trying to join Martin Road, there is a bit of jam right there. Of course, that is now you're getting into town properly, and there is a lot of jam. Nachivubo Road has some jam, especially when you are connecting to the junction that brings you to Chagwa Road. So if you're planning to use that route and you have another one that you can use, please do go ahead and plan your route better if you are already on the move. But if you're not yet moving, you can move. You can plan to do that better because the holdups are quite big. But on Kampala Road seems to be okay. Just a little bit of holdups that you will be finding until you reach the square one. Just a bit of holdups, nothing to worry about. You will be able to get through town a little better. But if I look at places like Namirembe Road, there is some good amount of jam. So please do make sure that you plan your movements better. Martin Road has jam. Gaddafi Road, of course, has jam, though it's not as bad. So as you are moving through to those areas, please do keep that in mind. But like I've said, if you are planning to move, it's better you move before it clocks 8 a.m. because that's when jam is actually worse. But also, you can just move like at around 6:30. It's a lot easier. There is not very many people on the road, depending on, of course, how your schedule is. Well, that is it for the traffic updates. And coming up is the agenda with Olive Monica Najuma.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Enjoy the true Ugandan coffee experience as we commemorate the rich legacy of Uganda's Arabica coffee this International Coffee Day. The Coffee Day celebration will be held on the 5th of October 2023 at Agri Evolve Limited in Nyabirongo Parish, Kisinga Town Council in Kasese District, under the theme Celebrating Arabica Coffee from the foothills of Mount Rwenzori. This event is organized by Uganda Coffee Development Authority and Uganda Coffee Federation with support from Agri-Evolve, USAID, Feed the Future, the European Union, Private Sector Foundation Uganda, Rainforest Alliance, Kenya Ports Authority, and EcoBank.
Did you know that Sir Walter Fleming Coates was Uganda's final governor before independence? Sir Walter Fleming Coates was born on 30th November 1912 in Aberdeen, Scotland. He was educated at Glasgow Academy, the University of St Andrews and St John's College, Cambridge. He was a British colonial administrator and Uganda's final governor before independence from 1961 to 1962. Sir Walter Fleming Coates approved the Uganda Coat of Arms on 1st October 1962 before they were formally established by law on 9th October. He was also chosen Governor General of Uganda from 1962 to 1963 because he had a reputation within the colonial office for supporting African nationalism and African independence movements. He died on 4th November 1988.
I'm very appreciative to the government of Uganda for the support it has given this school. First of all, it is paying 16 government teachers, and it's bringing in UPE funds that has partly helped the school. Formerly, the school was not like as it is now. We have put some good face. We have planted trees around the compound. We even have a banana plantation, very, very good looking. We have 16 government teachers and 10 private teachers. Those private teachers are paid by the government.
I was here in 1991, 1997. It became a model school in 95. That's when it was changed from Kazo Primary School to Kazo Model School. I am a beneficiary of UPE. Government paid for me in 1997 when I was here as a student of this school.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Nibanyita kananye niyita Sez Nwagaba, commercial officer at Ntungamo District Government.
I am Sez Nwagaba, the commercial officer for Ntungamo Local Government. I express my gratitude to God for this platform and the Myuga initiative brought to us by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, as it has positively transformed the lives of the people in Ntungamo, whom I have known for a long time. When you visit the beneficiaries of this program, you can easily witness the significant positive changes in their lives. The audit report demonstrates that despite their leader being deaf and blind, profits are being made, highlighting how this program has actively engaged and evolved every individual. Initially, we received 2 billion and 650 million Uganda shillings. Each constituency received 530 million Uganda shillings. I would like to express my gratitude to this platform for providing us with the opportunity to share information about the Imyoga program. Our special thanks go to the President for initiating the program, and additionally, I would like to mention that there are numerous similar projects in Rubare and Ntungamo.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Nibanyita kana nyinita says Nwagaba, commercial officer, Abwantunga mu district government.
I am Sez Nwagaba, the commercial officer for Ntungamo local government. I express my gratitude to God for this platform and the Emyuga initiative brought to us by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, as it has positively transformed the lives of the people in Ntungamo, whom I have known for a long time. When you visit the beneficiaries of this program, you can easily witness the significant positive changes in their lives. The audit report demonstrates that despite their leader being deaf and blind, profits are being made, highlighting how this program has actively engaged and evolved every individual. Initially, we received 2,650 million Uganda shillings. Each constituency received 530 million Uganda shillings. I would like to express my gratitude to this platform for providing us with the opportunity to share information about the Emyuga program. Our special thanks go to the President for initiating the program, and additionally, I would like to mention that there are numerous similar projects in Rubare and Ntungamo.
Did you know that George Wilberforce Kakoma composed the music and authored the lyrics of the Uganda national anthem? Kakoma was born in 1923 in what is now Wakiso district, Uganda's Mengo Town Council. He attended Mengo Primary School, King's College Bordeaux, Royal College of Music in London, University of Durham in Northern England, among other institutions. Prior to Uganda's independence, a subcommittee was formed to determine an anthem for the forthcoming state. It proceeded to hold a nationwide contest with the criteria they stipulated for the anthem being that it should be short, original, solemn, praising and looking forward to the future. In July 1962, the committee chose Kakoma's composition. It had taken him a day to compose the music and write the lyrics for O Uganda, Land of Beauty. Kakoma's composition was first played publicly by the police band conducted by Mr. Mon on October 9, 1962, during Uganda's Independence Day celebrations. He received a personal token of 2,000 Ugandan shillings from the Prime Minister, Dr. Milton Apollo Obote, for his work. Apart from the national anthem, he contributed to the composition of the East African Community Anthem in 2005 and also composed the Uganda Wildlife Authority Anthem. Kakoma died on 8th April 2012 in Kampala's Kololo suburb, aged 89. Did you know that Sawota Fleming Coates was Uganda's final governor before independence? Sawota Fleming Coates was born on 30th November 1912 in Aberdeen, Scotland. He was educated at Glasgow Academy, the University of St Andrews and St John's College, Cambridge. He was a British colonial administrator and Uganda's final governor before independence from 1961 to 1962. Sawota Fleming Coates approved the Uganda Coat of Arms on 1st October 1962 before they were formally established by law on 9th October. He was also chosen Governor General of Uganda from 1962 to 1963 because he had a reputation within the colonial office for supporting African nationalism and African independence movements. He died on 4th November 1988.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Every year when it's about to end, parents and students alike are excited and also a bit anxious about exams. Every year as the year ends, students from Senior 4 and Senior 6 and pupils in Primary 7 sit their national exams. And of course, for those in primary school, they're getting ready to join, to transition into secondary school. And those in O-level are usually sitting these exams, that is the Uganda Certificate of Education, so that they can transition into A-level. And of course, those in A-level sit the Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education exams to enable them transition into university and other institutions of higher learning. So this morning with me is Jennifer N. Musamba, the Principal Public Relations Officer, Uganda National Examinations Board, and we'll be speaking matters examinations. We will be delving into where schools are, the readiness, when the exams are beginning, the numbers of candidates that are sitting exams this year, and so much more. And if you want to join this conversation, you can reach us through WhatsApp number 0709602592, and on the X app, the hashtag is UBCGMU. So share your views, share your opinions, ask the questions that are burning regarding the national exams that are about to commence. Good morning, Miss Jennifer. Should I say Miss? Mrs.
Jennifer is enough.
Thank you so much for coming to Good Morning Uganda.
It's always a pleasure to come to UBC. A very good morning to all our dear viewers. Thank you so much for always tuning into national TV. And thank you. We appreciate your services. Thank you for the job well done.
Now, speaking matters, national examinations. How ready? Let's start with the national examiner itself. How ready is UNEB for this development?
Okay, thank you so much. A very good morning once again. As a board, we are ready for the examinations. It is something. It's always an honor to do to ensure that we assess our learners, and our mission is to conduct valid, reliable, and equitable assessment of the learners' achievements. So we do it in a professional way, in an innovative way, and in a way that will ensure that the learners get their certificates, which are recognized internationally. We've been doing this over the years, and we always do it on time. So right now we are set. Come next Friday, we shall be officially starting the examinations. We shall have the S4 candidates. Yes. They will be the S4 candidates we shall be briefing them. This is a very critical exercise, the briefing exercise. It is what ensures that the learners get prepared for the examination. They are given the instructions, they are told what to do, when, and everything. And we emphasize that the head teachers should ensure that the learners actually get briefed. Because we've come to realize that when the learners are not briefed, they get involved into acts of malpractice or acts which can cause their examinations to be cancelled unknowingly. There are things like, not writing beyond the margins, writing in pencil, tearing out a piece of paper, late appearance. All those things can cause a learner to be disqualified from an examination, and they need to be briefed about that. We also we had to release the timetable in good time to ensure that the learners also get an access to the timetables. We make sure that every learner who is registered with us gets a copy of the timetable for their session, so they can get to know, they can read the instructions. The timetables are detailed, they have the instructions, and the learner is able to get to appreciate what are their roles and responsibilities. The same applies to the parents. We want the parents to also know their roles and responsibilities. As parents, it is very important for the parents to support the learners. Let's support our learners in every way, give them the moral support, give them the spiritual support, pray for them, pray with them, encourage them, tell them, yes, you can make it. Yes, you are able to. No, you will make it in sciences, you'll make it in mathematics. So we need to give them the moral support. But also we need to make sure that we ensure their health and safety. Do the basic things. Support their nutritional services. Support the school maybe if they need to take a fruit every day, some vegetables, some juice, some drink. Let's support them in every way possible to enable them be spiritually, physically, and morally up to the requirements. Then we also need to talk to our learners to make sure that they do not get involved in acts of indiscipline. We have an unfortunate case of a school okay, let me say, everybody knows, it's in the news anyway, it is in Tari High School. I saw the story and I was hurt.
Senior 6 candidates.
I was hurt. I said, oh my God, how can this happen at such a time as this? And those are things which can be avoided. We need to talk to these learners. You know, remember, they are youth. They are, you know, they are all up in arms. They think because being candidates, you know, everybody feels so important because you think maybe you are in the most important class of the school. However, we have to assure them being a candidate does not make you over and above the laws of the school, the rules and regulations. You still have to be within the rules and regulations of the school. So we ask, the acts of indiscipline can cause a learner to be disqualified from an examination. The acts of indiscipline are very costly to both the learner and the parents. Like in the case of these learners, the management is going to sit, the admin of the school is going to sit. But the guidance in UNEB are such that if the school feels that it is insecure for them to stay with these learners at school at such a time as that, then we encourage them to use the police. They're going to have to use the services of the police. That means the learners may have to do examinations under surveillance of the police. It is very psychologically traumatizing, I'm telling you. It is the worst bit.
Some Ugandans have actually been wondering if UNEB can actually decide to not, if the school reaches out and they say these learners cannot sit exams with us this year, what would UNEB's response be?
We are hoping to not get to that. First and foremost, they are already registered candidates. So for us, we are very interested in them because they are our learners, they are our candidates, they are registered with us. So our interest is that they must do the examinations, whatever it takes, under every circumstances. So we just have to work out an amicable. Like you said, what we guide usually, what is likely to happen is that I'm sure there were some ringleaders. Maybe not all of them were that violent.
Not all of them.
So they may have to identify the ringleaders in the situation. There may be 4, 5, or 10.
What happens to these ringleaders?
Now we ask the because UNEB doesn't get involved into the administrative arrangements of the schools.
Yes.
We just advise. So in such a situation, we would advise that they get, like I said, they get the services of the police. So the parents of these learners will have to be coming away from school. They will have to be day scholars, and they come to school during the time of exam, because they may expel them this time before examinations begin. By the time examinations begin, they have to come to sit the examinations with police under police surveillance. It means when you have a paper in the morning, you come with a police officer. If you're a girl, there's a woman police officer. If you're a boy, there's a male police officer. What that means, the parents have got to pay for the services of the police. And even after the paper ends, you just go back to the police station.
You're asked to vacate the school.
You can't even talk to your friends and say, did you see this number?
You can't discuss.
That kind of talk. You can't discuss anything. It is very traumatizing. It is a very unfortunate situation. But I'm hoping that the school is going to will come up with an amicable way to make sure the lives of these learners are not destroyed. Because for me, I know it is... it's basically the enemy fighting the destinies of these children. You realize 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years before, we had COVID coming in, and we had our candidates miss out a year. We lost it on time. The following year, we get Ebola. And now suddenly you're getting acts of indiscipline in schools.
A month before
I must tell you point blank, personally, I'm a believer, and I pray and I intercede for these children. And we have an altar at UNEB where we pray for the learners. And we think that so I want to ask all the parents out there, let's not get into becoming judgmental, because you don't know where the wave is going to be. And I'm telling all prayer warriors, all intercessors, kindly start interceding for all our candidates. Start praying for the learners, because if you don't, the enemy can just decide to destroy this generation, can decide to destroy all their destinies. So for us, we're already at it. And we have asked, next week we are going to be doing prayers and dedication at UNEB. And we are also asking all our leaders, all the faith-based leaders under the Interreligious Council of Uganda to join us. On Friday, we are asking the Muslims to join in and pray for them, for the candidates. On Saturday, we are asking the SDA to join in, and on Sunday, we are asking that is on Sunday the 15th. we are asking all the other Christians to join in and pray for the learners. Why? Because we know we need the grace of God. Even us who are conducting the examinations, it's all by the grace of God. We are going to have our field troops out there, the scouts, the invigilators, so many people out there. And we have to pray for their health and safety. We have to pray for the good roads. We have to pray for the good weather. We have to pray that all goes on well, and we cannot do it in our own might. So we need the grace of God. And now we want to ask the nation, everybody who is concerned about examinations in this country, you have a candidate, you know somebody, kindly join us to pray for this process. But we know it shall be well.
Now, speaking about indiscipline still, what would happen to girl children who, you know, are found to be pregnant? You know, schools are against pregnancy. But now you have this candidate and they're pregnant. Would they be allowed to sit their examinations?
Oh yes, for UNEP, as long as you are registered as a candidate, that's for us. That's the main thing. Are you registered with us? We have a total of 1,224,405. So for as long as you're in this category and you're registered with us, we want you to do the examinations. However, the challenge is with UNEP, we do not look out for the candidates ourselves. We have their heads of centers, who are the head teachers. They are the ones who present the candidates to us. So on the day of the examinations, let's say on the 16th of October, when that's going to be a Monday, when S4 begins geography paper, and a candidate is not presented to us, much as you are registered with us, if the head teacher does not present the candidate to us, then that's beyond our reach. So we shall go to the place which is gazetted for the examinations, and the candidates and those who are presented to us are the ones whom we are going to give the papers to. Regarding the pregnant learners, we have what we call circumstantial impairment. In our policy, we have what we call circumstantial impairment. We have a policy for special needs education learners. These are the ones who may have, maybe they have hearing impairment, they have visual impairment, or they have challenges basically. Or God forbid, somebody like last time I saw there was a category, there's a bus of students and the kids got an accident. Somebody may be at a point when they cannot write or they can't walk and they need support. We provide support to all those people. Now that is circumstantial impairment. By the time of registration, they were fine. Now by the time of doing the examination, something has come up, they cannot write. They need somebody to write for them. Or their head is pale, they have to do, maybe they're sleeping or something like that. So we shall provide support to all that. So the same applies to the learners who are pregnant. If you are pregnant and you're in advanced stages, we shall give one first, we allow you to do the examination. So it's got to be up to the school to let you come present the learners to us and tell us, by the way, we have 2 pregnant learners. Okay, fine, they are pregnant. Are they in advanced stages? Because any pregnant woman cannot sit maybe like for 3 hours in one place. They need to be going in and out. So they need that kind of support. Bathroom breaks and all of that. So we provide an extra 45 minutes for them.
An extra 45?
Yes. This is not just for the pregnant learners. This is
anyone
for
that has a condition.
The special needs education learners. Now, the ones who have they are known previously, we have them registered with us. So we know in the school we have this number of SNE learners, special needs education learners. However, like we said, we have this circumstantial impairment that just comes circumstantially, like somebody gets an accident right now. So we categorize the pregnant learners in that category. But from past experience, these pregnant learners, they don't even need the extra 45 minutes. Many of them are so strong once you give them the opportunity to sit. They are up to the task. And they know they are prepared mentally, physically, and psychologically, which also brings me back to the issue I was talking about. As elders, as parents in the lives of these children, let's prepare them psychologically and mentally. So these people, when they are prepared to do the paper, they do the papers and they do it well. But if they need extra time, we shall give it to them, and that's now up to the jurist, up to the person who is on the spot, like the scout who is there. They will see is she in the advanced stages. Because if somebody is like in the first, of course now in the first, no, I don't expect that.
But someone could be in the first trimester and they're going through issues of throwing
That
up.
is a dangerous one. That's a dangerous one because really, but whichever way, as long as one is registered with us and they've been presented to us, and they have any, because now that could be somebody is sick, let's say, because that could be they're having a fever or something like that.
I've heard stories of students sitting their exams with IVs, like there is is they're on drips, but they can master the energy to at least write. So I think that is the circumstantial impairment that you
that
talked
kind of
about.
thing. And talking about that, the other thing is that let me give an example of the school where somebody has got an accident. We cannot go to Mulago to administer examinations. If you are in Mulago and you don't come to the center, we can't administer examinations. What that means, we expect you to be at the examination center at the right time. If exams begin at 9 o'clock, and you're actually sick, you're on your IV, either they will ride you to examination center or you miss out on the examination.
So it circumstantial impairment does not, how should I put it? If there has been an impairment, it still has to be worked on in a given period of time. If the examination is beginning at 9 and you got an accident, you can't come and say, I'm late because I had an accident. You must be at the center, whether you've had
at the right time.
At the right time.
That is why we're talking about preparation is very important, because UNEP examinations are national examinations which are conducted in a gazetted place, which is why we have examination centers. That is why not all schools we don't conduct examinations from all schools, because some schools do not have the conditions that we require them to have. So that is why you see we have school X, they don't have an examination center, so they have their candidates, their learners have to go to school Y, which has an examination center. So they have to be conducted in a gazetted place. That is number one. And then, the timekeeping is very important. I want to talk about timekeeping. Parents, if you have if you know that you are a parent of a candidate and you have to take them to school during the time of examinations, please do whatever it takes. Plan for the jam, prepare. Because if we give you an extra 15 minutes, we expect let's say the morning paper. They should be at the examination center 30 minutes before the paper begins. Exams begin at 9 o'clock.
By paper begins, what do you mean? Because I remember when I was in senior 3, a friend of mine who was in senior 4 was clearing in the office, school fees and all. Then she arrived for the paper when her colleagues had already sat. Answer sheets had not been given out yet, and the paper had not yet begun, but everyone was in. I think they were now in the preparation of giving out the answer sheets, and she was refused to enter, so she missed paper 1 of that exam.
That's as bad as good. Anyway, I cannot speak to what. So the issue is the gazetted place. Don't you see this is UBC?
Yes.
There's a whole compound of UBC. Not every place is a studio.
Yes.
That's the same thing. UBC secondary school. Which rooms have been gazetted for doing the UC examinations?
The auditorium.
Exactly. And actually it's usually condoned off. There's even a thread or something for everybody to know, exams under progress. So you need to be in there 30 minutes before the paper begins. If the paper begins at 9 o'clock, we do expect you should be there by 8:30. However, if the worst must come to the worst, you should be there not more than 15 minutes after the paper has started. That means latest 9 o'clock, or the hour of starting.
And those are special cases.
Well,
so
anything can happen.
Of, some people will be like, the lady, when she was at UBC.
I said, but you see, why do you want to arrange? Because that's going to
because some people may want to take some things out of context.
That is,
she said, at the worst.
The worst case scenario.
In the worst case scenario. So don't
why
be
do you want to put yourself in the worst case scenario?
Yes.
Don't be in the worst case scenario because you don't know what's going to happen. That's time.
I was actually about to ask you about the P7 candidates at Kakumiro.
Kakumiro, yeah.
Yes. So in their case, they were delayed. It was transportation. So they reached how many minutes after the paper
Those
began?
are the worst case scenarios, and indeed, they were not allowed. The scout on the ground could not allow them to sit that examination.
Because they were very late, over an hour late.
So it had to take us special instruction, because you see the policies of the board. We are talking about upholding the standard of our examinations, and there are things we do not just bypass like that. So we have rules and regulations which guide the conduct of examinations, and we go by the rubric. We go by the rules and regulations. So in that case, it had to take like the sitting of the board to agree the policy and everything, because UNEB under ordinary circumstances does not administer supplementarism, I don't know, special examinations.
It was actually the first time I heard of something like that being done by UNEB. And some Ugandans were arguing that why them? Because in the past, apparently, such circumstances had happened to other people.
I think we did explain the circumstances. Those people were coming from across actually there was the Ebola was close by there. And then there were many learners. It was not just one or two learners. It was circumstances beyond their own control. It is the head teacher, the school director, who actually had a problem. Really, it was beyond their own control. And then I mean, we are parents, we are human, really. As UNEB, just imagine if we had not allowed them. Up to this day, everybody will be condemning UNEB. But UNEB, you know, whatever I do, people always say something. So we really had to do, and of course we had, because if somebody comes up and, because Jennifer, I mean, and says, you know, like Olive, I'm like you say, Olive, I want to do, I mean, somebody comes up to you and asks requests, because we got requests. The political, what can I call it? The political administration or something, the MPs, the people came and we held series of meetings.
Even the First Lady, who is the Minister of Education and Sports, had
eventually what we did, actually, it was even an instruction. It's not even something actually. It was like order from above.
Directive.
Period.
There were many. There were about
so
over
now,
25
if you are going to do that,
pupils,
but the order came from above for that particular incident. If it's going to happen to you, if another order comes, maybe not, but it may not be so lucky for you. So kindly, do not plan for order from above. Do not plan for circumstantial, I don't know what. No, don't plan to be circumstantially late. Please purpose to be there in time. Preparation is very important. Let's be part and parcel of the this season for our children, even if they're in boarding school. Go and check on them, talk to them, speak to them, encourage them, motivate them, pray for them every day, and let them know mommy is praying. Let them know daddy is praying. Let them know your neighbor is praying for them, because wisdom comes from the Lord. We need all that kind of guidance. So it's very critical for them to be spiritually prepared, emotionally prepared, but also physically prepared, and they need to be healthy.
Okay. Now let's look at the numbers of the students that are going to sit exams this year. You gave a total of over 1 million that are going to sit.
Close to 1,250,000.
Okay. And how many of those are at primary level?
At primary level, we have the figures we have at primary level. We have 749,371 candidates. Candidature. Although this time round we've got a drop down. Last year our figure was 832, 809, and we do think it's because of the we had the automatic promotion. So some learners moved from maybe P6 or P5 and went straight to P7, because there was that policy of automatic promotion because of the previous effect of COVID-19. So it was expected. We are now kind of going back to normal. So we do usually, because we've been going between 600, and we usually have like a 3 to 4% increment. So we think we are going back to normal, to the normal candidature. And the senior fours are 364. 421. Those are the senior fours, and the senior 6 candidates. And for us, we are rejoicing, because the number for senior 6 candidates was dropping. It was dropping to 96,000 to, you know, very low levels. But now we are going back. We have 110, 579.
So
for us,
there is an increment.
There's an increment, and we are grateful for that. We don't know what could have caused it, but it is all the same. We are grateful there's an increment.
In the past, what would explain the reduction in the senior 6 candidates numbers?
We did not. One of the things that we thought that was happening is that there's been a promotion of vocational institutions and vocational studies. So many learners were branching into vocational studies, which is being assessed by UBTEB. So many of them would go into nursing, into tailoring, into woodwork, into so many of the vocational training institutions. So that is one of the things which explains that. One interesting thing I want to say about this is that we find most of these learners, of all these that we talked about, 53% of these learners are supported by the government under the government system of the universal primary education, universal secondary school education, and the UPOLIT, universal post-O-level education. What that shows for us is that many people are trusting the government systems. So we have many learners who are actually, many parents preferring to take their children to the government schools, which is a positive on the side of government. And today, being National Teachers Day, I want to hail all the teachers out there. We do applaud you. We do respect you. We want to thank you for the job that you do. Because as UNEB, we come in at the tail end.
Yes.
We have these teachers who have to prepare these learners, right from baby class until they get to P7. At the end of third term, UNEB comes up suddenly.
Yes.
Senior 4, same thing. Senior 6, same thing. So as UNEB, we want to say thank you so much to all the teachers. We want to thank you for the sacrifices you make. We do appreciate you. Go through quite a lot to make sure you prepare these learners for us. Why I'm just like the National Teachers Day. And we want to thank them so much because they do a good job. And we want to wish you a happy Teachers Day. Go and enjoy yourselves. Go and have a day off. Go and have a break. Actually, my daughter was like, I'm not going to school today. It's National Teachers Day. So even the teachers are also having a break and they're celebrating the work that they do for the nation. And we do applaud you as your name.
And they are worth celebrating because, like I said when we were just starting the show, is that all of us are where we are professionally because someone chose teaching as a career.
Yes.
They have contributed positively to our lives as individuals. Every person, if you've gone to school, there is someone that made sure. For instance, in Uganda, we have over 53 tribes, and most of them have their mother tongue. They speak different languages, but then you find us here speaking English like no man's business. And what is because someone had to take the effort to teach us a new language because English is our official language, a new language, and then this is how we are instructed to be able to understand the policies, the principles, and many things so that we can get to the next level, maybe become engineers, maybe doctors, business people, and journalists, so much more that we do, and it is a contribution of the teachers. So to add to her voice, we celebrate you teachers today. We celebrate you for holding the hands of our children as they sit their national exams starting next week. That's what you said.
Yes, they do.
Yes, starting next week, Senior 4 candidates will be starting their exams. When are they supposed to complete?
Senior 4 examinations go on until November, until it's about 1.5 months for Senior 4, and then the senior P7 will do 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's when we have the P7 candidates sit for the examinations, and thereafter the Senior 6 will begin on the 10th of November till close to 2nd December. That's the time that the candidates are going to be doing the examinations. And but in the meantime, we have learners that have been doing, who have practical sessions, like food and nutrition, technical drawing, French. There are some practical sessions.
Oh,
yeah, we have some. Those are kind of some of those silent things that people don't get to know about. We have people who are conducting examinations for since last week. We are conducting examinations for the practical sessions of some subjects, which have to be there because they are like foods and nutrition, for instance. They actually do prepare the meal. Tailoring, they do sew, and these are real. Those practical sessions, we begin them. Yeah, they've already started.
Okay.
And then we also have those, still for those same subjects, the teachers are supposed to be submitting coursework scores. The deadline for submitting these coursework scores was 30th of September. However, there is a grace period until the 15th of October. That's until next week. So we want to encourage the head teachers, the teachers who are yet to submit the coursework scores, kindly submit them. Because if you don't, the learners will not be assessed in those papers. So we want to request you, do not destroy the destinies of these children. You need to come to NAB now, before you are doing it by the portal, but right now, you have no option. You have to just come to your NAB, write to the ED, explain this, why you were not able to submit the scores in time, and then you'll be given permission, but you have to pay a surcharge of 50,000 shillings per candidate. So if you have 10 candidates or 100 or whatever, that is 50,000 per candidate. Why do we do this? Because it disorganizes the entire system. The way your NAB works, that we do everything is time bound, and then it's a chain. One thing leads to another. Let me give an example of the registration data. Once we get data for registration, we are able to plan and know how many examiners do we need, how many scouts do we need. So we train the examiners, then we recruit the scouts and all that. So once we do not get the data in good time, it's going to affect the timing for all the activities that we do. So we want to encourage everybody. Once we set the deadlines, it's not just because we want to set deadlines. No, because we work by the deadlines. By this time, we already know how many learners are in which district, in which school, and we've already finished packing the materials. So if somebody comes at this time and say, I want to register a candidate, we can't do that right now.
You can't be helped.
We cannot help you at all. And because of that, actually, there are learners who have not registered for some reason or the other. And we always encourage you. I know, like I've said, I know some people can say, I do not have enough money to pay for XYZ. Parents, at the beginning of the year, if you think you may have some financial problems, we have UPA and youth schools all over the country, and by the way, they are doing well. I want to encourage the parents, please, let's go to these schools, just in case you think you may have challenges, because the government schools are doing quite well. They are performing well. Our teachers are doing their best. So I want to encourage you, just in case, instead of reaching the time of registration and you say, I failed to register because I did not have funds. Mr. Odongo will not listen to you. He's going to tell you, why didn't you go to a UPE school?
And
why didn't you go to a youth school?
They normally say 1 is better than 0, right?
Yes.
So if you can't afford to maintain your child in a certain school, but they are candidates, yes, take them to a government school. Take them to a UPE school.
The government pays for the registration of these candidates. But you have to go there in good, because the Ministry of Education plans for them early enough. You can't go there in May or June. That's already too late. So you need to make sure you purpose right now to join that system so you can be catered for by the government. So you will not miss out. We don't want to, those cases, many candidates are still looking for somebody says, you see, I'm an orphan, I was still looking for tuition. And I'm like, why didn't you go to a youth school? That is why these government facilities are there. That is why I'm here at UBC. I can't start saying I failed to let people know because I didn't have money for airtime. But the UBC is the public broadcaster, and they're giving us airtime free of charge. So I am here offering, and they've offered me a service because I'm a government agent. It's the same thing, you know. Don't just stay in your cocoon saying you do not have the money. Government is giving us all these services.
Okay, so let's touch a bit on the issue of lower secondary school, the new curriculum.
The new kid on the block.
Yes, so we know that the way of assessment is changing, I think with the current senior 3 class going to senior 4. So when it comes to the current candidates right now, in the event that they fail this year, what has UNEP prepared for them next year?
First and foremost, UNEP does not set examinations for people to fail.
I understand that, but there is always someone failing.
Yeah, we know, of course, there's a failure rate. We know that people who are likely to fail. That is a policy issue. As UNEP, we do not determine, first of all, we know the ones who prepare the curriculum. So it's a policy issue, and we have made some proposals for the policy adjustment, and we've also done some benchmarking. Fortunately, Uganda is not the first country to do new curriculum, to do a change in curriculum. There are other countries. So we've done benchmarking in Zimbabwe, where they did do the change in the curriculum. So what's likely to happen that we are proposing to have a season, maybe we'll assess them around June, July. just in case they fail or they need to repeat, or even those who haven't registered. We also have the adult learners who always come up at this kind of time and they want to sit for the examinations. So we've written a policy proposal which we're going to discuss with our seniors, and once it's acceptable, then the board will be ready to assess these learners around June, July. Yeah.
Okay, so we have been having a conversation regarding the upcoming national exams that are set by the Uganda National Examinations Board, and with me has been Miss Jennifer Kaule, the Principal Public Relations Officer, Uganda National Examinations Board. Your parting shots.
Thank you so much, Oliver.
Especially to the schools that intend to involve themselves in malpractice.
Oh yes, malpractice. I want to assure the nation out there, nobody, hear me clearly, nobody is going to get access to a NAB examination paper prior. So please do not be deceived. Don't be misled thinking you're going to be getting Kasasi or Katwa or whatever it is. Please go ahead and continue your reading, do your preparations. Don't get involved in trying to think you're going to access a national paper. And the other thing, if it comes onto your phone, according to the law, according to the UNEP Act 2021, and you are involved in sharing a so-called UNEP examination paper, whether it is fake or not, you are culpable, and you can be imprisoned for 5 years or given a fine of 20 million shillings. So I want to encourage you, if it comes to your paper, kindly don't get involved in sharing these so-called katwas or usasi, because it disorganizes our learners and you're going to be culpable by the law. I want to wish all the learners all the best. We know you have what it takes to pass the examinations quite well. Parents, let's be involved in the assessment process of our learners. Encourage them, prepare them well, and please, candidates, you are not above the rules and regulations. Be disciplined. Do what you're supposed to be doing at the right time, and all will go on well. We wish you God's blessings, and it shall be well. Thank you so much for his
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us insights into how students can be ready for the national examinations. And to all students out there, especially senior 4 students that are beginning their exams next week, we wish you all the best from the UBC GMU family. We pray that you succeed, and please be disciplined, like the lady said. You're still watching Good Morning Uganda. Ruben Impuma is coming through with sports updates.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Enjoy the